Hello, I'm Trudy, One Grounded Angel. This is the weekly angel card reading for the week beginning April the 3rd, the Monday, right through to Sunday the 8th, the 9th, sorry. I still count on my fingers. That's how good I am with maths. So 3rd to the 9th, 2017. So let's see what we've got in store. We're in Aries season now, and that's a real time for new beginnings, regardless of what your sign is, because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So in terms of astrology, it's a really good time for new beginnings because we're starting over. And Aries as a sign is all about, they're quite tempestuous. But in a way, because they've got that childlike energy of being the youngest sign of the zodiac, they will just go after what they want. And there's something really cool about that. It's really kind of a fiery sort of go-get-it type thing. They're not very respectful of boundaries. And you could see that as a negative, I guess, but I prefer to see it as a positive because we need to push boundaries in order to find out where we want to be. We don't want to let society push us into these kind of boxes that it wants to do. So that's something you might be inspired by right now. If you're thinking about starting something new, really good time to do it. And in particular, we've got Mercury retrograde coming up in April. That is not a good time for starting new things. So if you're looking at buying a new property, starting a new business, you want to get onto that really soon because negotiations that happen during Mercury retrograde can be quite thorny and there's potential for things to go horribly wrong. So let's start with Monday. Oh, also, as you can see, I've got a little microphone. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't, well, I'll be re-recording this, I guess. We'll see. So let's start with Monday the 3rd. Acceptance. Now, acceptance is a word that we use when we want to start something new, which sounds counterintuitive. Because it sounds like you're saying if you accept something then you don't want to change it. That's not the case. In order to change something, you have to first accept how it is. So that means we're not delusional about our situation. We're not pretending things are okay when they're not. We're accepting them how they are. We're recognizing the good parts about them as well. We're not being all doom and gloom, but we're also recognizing that that's not what we want. So we're going to move past that. So there's also, interesting now that I read the card, what I just said to you is what's come through to me. But when you read the card, and this may resonate with others of you, it's about acceptance of other people. And we did have 2 cards last week about non-judgment of people and trying to forgive them, recognizing people as doing the best they can, trying not to judge them. So perhaps that's something that's still resonating for some of you, but what's coming through more strongly for me is about accepting where you are right now and not trying to it's this whole stuff about surrender because I really struggled with that myself because I have some control issues. I know a lot of people do. And so this whole idea about when I would always get cards about needing to surrender to the universe, I'd feel like, well, no, because I'm in charge of my life. I'm not going to surrender to the universe. I want to be steering the ship. But in actual fact, you need to surrender to the universe's will and to push forward with what you want, but not to try and push against something that's not meant to be. It's a very difficult balance, but it all starts with this place of acceptance, accepting things how they are, accepting people how they are, and not running around being angry at things constantly, because anger is always a cover for a deeper emotion, and it really is, if we're locked into a situation or a kind of default setting of anger, we're not moving ahead, we're staying stuck. We're blaming people and or perhaps blaming the universe or whatever it is. We're not moving forward, and that's not what we want. Humans are not here to stagnate, they're here to move forward and to grow. Although that doesn't mean sometimes we are kind of stationary, I guess, rather than stagnant, and that's because we need to rest or gather new information or recalibrate or whatever it is. So we're now on Tuesday, the 4th of April. You're a powerful light worker. So if you're watching this and you're already engaged in healing work or alternative medicine, you probably don't need this card. Or maybe you do. Maybe you needed this to remind you that you are in fact on the right track. So it's just occurred to me that I'm using it, I forgot to say at the start of this, I'm using a different device to record this week, and I have a feeling it's reversing the cards, so these may not come out too clearly. But that doesn't matter, you'll still see them on Instagram and on my Facebook page as well. So you're a powerful light worker. Sometimes you need reminding as well that your intuition is on track, because the whole thing about intuition, and I am going to write a blog post about this week. I've been kind of bashing away at it for a couple of weeks and keep getting distracted. We can still doubt it. And so this is confirming that what you were suspecting, what you were feeling, that gut feeling is right. Go with it. Question the doctors about what they're telling you if it doesn't feel right to you. Question the teachers at your kid's school if what they're telling you about your kid doesn't feel right to you. All this sort of thing. What you are feeling is correct. Go with it. Even when it doesn't make sense, especially when it doesn't make sense. But going back to that earlier message about the healers and the or other card readers who might be watching this is confirming that you are indeed on the right track. And even though you're probably like, I knew that, we all need to be reminded about that. You are very powerful, and you've got very special gifts to bring to the world to help us all grow. So keep going with that. Now, Wednesday, with the giant deck that I always regret choosing, because it's hard to shuffle, but a card has just jumped out straight away. So we have, now this is a tarot style of cards, even though they're angel tarot, which I'm not very au fait with, but I will read the messages that come through to me. It's about freedom. So if you can see that, oh, this is definitely in reverse because I'm pushing this the other way. Okay, if you can see the gates here, they're very symbolic of this girl here is pushing through them. So sometimes we feel like we're trapped, and it's because we've put ourselves into a trap. And this is letting us know that we are the ones who are trapping ourselves, and we therefore have the power to set ourselves free. So, and that comes from making a choice to change your situation, to do the thing that you know you need to do, but sometimes it's easier to stay stuck by blaming, I can't do anything about it, that's just how life is, this is just my life. I talk about it as being kind of a martyr complex. Sometimes we want to stay stuck so we've got something to complain about, or so that we don't have to try, we don't have to do the brave thing about making the brave choices and putting ourselves out, but pushing ourselves out of the position that we're in. But if we don't do that, we stay stuck. And as I've already noted, we're not here to stay stuck, and we're certainly not here to suffer. I know there is a degree of suffering that is a part of the human condition, but we're not supposed to stay that way. And if you are feeling that way, you've got choices. You've always got choices. I cite Viktor Frankl all the time. His book Man's Search for Meaning was hugely transformative for me. If you haven't read it, I really suggest you do it. It's very thin, and he was I'm going to say psychologist, maybe psychiatrist, I'm not sure. And he was imprisoned during the Second World War in a concentration camp. But he lost his wife and his daughter, which was very sad, and you can imagine how that sort of thing would crush the human spirit. But he chose to hold on to what he said was, humans' last freedom, which is the freedom to choose how they feel and how they think. And that's true for you. So even like he's in a situation where he literally has no physical freedom, he's imprisoned, but he still sees himself as free because he has the choice to choose his mindset and maintain a positive mindset. And that's hugely powerful, isn't it? I mean, it's hard to imagine being strong enough to do that, but he was, and he survived, and he was able to write a book that's been hugely, had a huge impact on a lot of people, including myself. So, gone slightly off track, but the point is that we've always got the choice to choose the way we feel about a situation, and to choose, because a feeling comes from a thought, and a thought can always be changed. That's part of Louise Hay's core teachings. So, and sometimes the reason we make a choice to stay stuck as well is because we're deluded. So when I'm doing Reiki and clearing around the third eye chakra, sometimes that's part of why that's blocked, is because people are deluded. They think that they are a certain thing, or that sometimes in the extreme they think their marriage is happy and healthy when it's actually not. And perhaps that's because they've had unhealthy marriages role modelled to them, and they think that's the norm. And it's again the whole thing of choosing to suffer. Perhaps it could be that they're deluded about their partner's potential to change, when in actual fact everybody has potential to change, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. So delusion can be a real problem, so make sure that you are seeing things actually clearly for how they are and not how you would like them to be. So, which again comes back to that message about acceptance. So, making sure we haven't got our head in the clouds. So, and that's, coming from someone who's working with the ethereal, the whole point about being an angel card reader, working with the divine, is you still need to be grounded, because if I delivered messages to you as they come from heaven, they're not going to resonate with you. That's why I need to stay grounded. And my whole point about is, my name is about being grounded, because we need to be able to use the messages from heaven and bring them into an earthly capacity, so that we can actually live by them. Otherwise, they're all just these kind of out there new agey ideas that aren't really meaningful and relatable. Anyway, so the whole point of this is freedom is in your hands. So please choose to free yourself from limiting thinking, negative thinking, fearful thinking, or situations where you're at the mercy of other people's drama perhaps, or other people's moods, or whatever it is. Choose to free yourself through your actions, where you spend time, your behaviours, how you respond to it, and your thoughts as well, which is where it all begins ultimately. Right, Thursday, 6th of April. You often have a calendar, but I've forgotten. A favourable outcome. So what they're saying is that this is, you can see the scales actually. Oh, I've gone the wrong way, this way. You can see the scales yourself anyway, that's what they're showing me. Particularly if you're dealing with legal proceedings, anything to do with justice or settlements, anything like that, contracts, anything kind of formal that involves legalese. In particular, this is about, it's going to have a favourable outcome. So, that means that when we say favourable, it means it's going to work in your favour, but it's also not going to disadvantage others. So a good outcome for everybody, even though it might not seem that way initially, it is the best outcome. So trust in that, and try to surrender your desire to see people punished. That's often the case when we're involved in conflicts or any sort of dispute like that. We want the other person to suffer and for them to be punished. And as I've said in the past, it's not our job to dispense punishment, and even if it were, that actually wouldn't make you feel better. Even though you're hurting, seeing other people suffer as a result of the way they've treated you doesn't actually help you at all. You just think it will. It's kind of a trick of the ego. So, but anyway, try to understand that everything is going to work out. It's about fairness here, and that does mean that you need to keep fighting for what you believe in. Do not be a doormat in any sense. It's really important for you to fight for fairness and equality, but and don't give up. But do understand that there will be a favourable outcome, even though it might not look like what you expect it to look like. So fight the good fight, Friday, and we really need that more than we have in my lifetime, particularly the sort of injustices that are happening in our world today. People are being called to stand up and say, actually, no, we're not going to live like this. We're not going to be treated like that. Okay, Friday is a Bella, and it's about timing. The timing's right for whatever you want to move ahead with. So there's that Aries kind of energy you can work with. The timing is right. So it talks about expectations as well, this card. So make sure that you are not going into something going, this is going to fail, but I'll give it a crack anyway. So to use an Aussie slang expression, I'll have a go anyway. So it's really important what you expect to get from it. Now, sometimes if we expect to conquer it, that can be a bit too daunting and too scary. So we just we want to kind of go in slowly, and that's okay, but make sure that you are not going in thinking it's going to fail, or I suck at this, everything I do turns to custard, or whatever it is. It's important that you have positive expectations about it working out for the best, and that you're going to learn something and really gain something from it. So it's going to work out really well for you. Doesn't mean you're going to, have $1 billion company necessarily on the Forbes list, but it might mean that you're going to have a really good outcome. We're all about outcomes at the moment, aren't we? That is worth all the effort that you're going to put into it, and worth persisting against the fears that the fear sort of barriers that are going to come up. You're going to come up against. Now let's look at Saturday, end of the week. What do we need to know? Oh, here we go. Wise decision. Great. I love it when this card comes up when I'm doing a client reading for someone who's really struggling with a decision. So it reassures you about your ability to make the right decision, because sometimes we doubt it. We think, oh, I'm gonna get it wrong. We doubt that. But if we follow our intuition and what's right for us, never mind what other people think, we can't get it wrong. And regardless of what you choose, you actually can't get it wrong, because things always work out the way they're supposed to. And even though there might be perhaps unfavourable elements that come through, they're things that need to happen ultimately because they teach you, or even in your failures, that's when you learn the most. And a lot of successful entrepreneurs will tell you that they learn way more in the businesses that fail than the ones that did. So it's worth persisting. So it's worth persisting in the face of failure, is what I'm going to say here. So please know that the decision that if you've just made a decision and you're nervous about it, let that go, because you're on the right track. If you are still wrestling with a decision, tune into your intuition, because it will tell you where you need to go. And sometimes that can be really hard to access because it's buried under all these layers of fear and shoulds and kind of expectations and pressure from other people. And we had a message last week about retreating to your private space, or a garden or something, or an altar, whatever it is you have to get some clarity. And that's because that's an opportunity for you to hear what is really right for you, because your intuition, your angels are all talking to you all the time. And sometimes you need to be in a different place or a different mindset to hear that, instead of looking at your phone or endlessly researching. Sometimes it's just about tuning in. So I'm really sorry about the construction noise outside, by the way. Hopefully with this mic, if it's worked, you won't be hearing that. So what else do you need to know here? Just be confident in your ability to make the right decision, and try not to be too waylaid by fear. Fear never goes away. And so this whole thing about being fearless it's not something that I would ever say to someone, because you can't be without fear. Fear is how you know you're on the right track, because when fear comes up, that's the ego trying to stop you, because it feels provoked, and that's a normal response. So one approach can be to say thank you, fear, when it comes up, because that's how you know that you're on the right track. Another approach would be to take Liz Gilbert's approach, which I cite all the time because it's so great, is to acknowledge that fear is there. She says for her it's like you're going on a road trip. You can't say to fear, don't get in the car with me, because it's just it doesn't go away. But you can say to it, you don't get to choose the music, you don't get to choose the snacks, and you don't get to point in the direction. That's my job. So come along because you're going to, but you have no power. So you can acknowledge the fear and choose not to buy into it, I guess. Sunday. Oop. Got it. Okay. Prosperity, fantastic. This is about abundance. Now, abundance typically refers to money and food or shelter-like material needs. So it's reassuring you that not to be fearful that you won't have enough, because when we are fearful that we won't have enough, we kind of limit what we're doing. We don't apply for jobs that seem risky or business opportunities. We don't go on dates because we're scared. There's all sorts of ways we kind of put ourselves in these little boxes and we don't live fully. So when we know that we have enough and that the universe is looking after us, it's much easier to make those decisions and to live a life that is full and abundant, because knowing that you're supported by the universe is a really powerful thing. Now, abundance can also be an abundance of ideas, an abundance of opportunities. It can be all sorts of things. So take from this what you need. What is it you feel that you're lacking or you're scared that you will lack? And know that that's not the case. Know that you'll have enough. And when you believe in that, you'll start to see it more and more, because it's about, you start to attract it more because you've put it out to the universe, basically like a call. I believe in this, it starts to rush towards you, and act as if you do have enough. That doesn't mean go and drop, thousands of dollars that you don't actually have on something that you don't need. It just means trust that you have enough, and then and live within your means still, but you can be confident and not living in fear, I guess, what I'm trying to say. So when we look back on the week, I would say a lot about trusting our intuition has come through. In particular, we had it here on Tuesday, but also in terms of these decisions and what we're working on at the moment in terms of these outcomes, and again, what you're working on. So I think my message at the top of this about moving forward with new things was very much on point, because that's all this energy from here onwards is saying that. And there's also some opportunities to adjust our thinking in terms of making sure we don't feel like we're trapped, and that we accept where we are instead of railing against it and saying this isn't fair. Okay, so that's the week. I'll put these on my Instagram each day, and on my Facebook. My Instagram is @OneGroundedAngel, and my Facebook page is called One Grounded Angel. Obviously, when the day comes round, perhaps Thursday, you will have forgotten that this card came up. If you're watching this on Sunday, Australian time, when I launch these. And even what you take from it at the time you're watching it is not going to be, or may have changed or shifted slightly by the time Thursday comes around, because new circumstances have come to light. So I think it's, the benefit for me of having these videos is that you can see the patterns and you can get a good kind of forecast, but you can't really know necessarily how you need to use these until the day comes round. And even sometimes it's the yesterday's card that's still relevant on the next day, or you've really got to trust your intuition. So that's it. You can reach me as always at www.onegroundedangel.com. There's a booking form there, or a contact form if you want to ask me questions. If you do have personal questions, you need to book a personal reading, but I'm happy to respond to feedback about the cards, or if there's small sort of quandaries that you're stuck in. So that's it for the week. Have a terrific week. I'll read for you again the week after that, which I think is Easter. I'm going away, so I may be posting that reading slightly early, but I'll deal with that down the track. Have a fantastic week, and please let me know what the sound quality was like for you as well, or if I hear nothing, I'll assume that you couldn't hear anything and it's all fine. So thank you so much for your love and support as always. Take care, guys. Bye.